Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Square Off. What a busy week this has been. Let's meet this week's panel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ruth Ann Norton.
I'm Tyrone Keys.
I'm Professor Richard Vatz.
I'm Rick Abruzzi.
And Rick Abbruzzese is brand new. Welcome, your debut here at Square Off. Rick, give us a 30-second resume of who you are.
Hey, Richard, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Been waiting a long time for the invitation to be here with you guys on Square Off, so appreciate it. Rick Abruzzi, I'm a partner at KO Public Affairs. We have a public affairs division, public relations and consumer marketing division, and a government relations practice in Annapolis. We've been working at the intersection of Maryland politics and media for very long time. I came up in Maryland politics, working with then Mayor Martin O'Malley and then Governor O'Malley in Annapolis, and then moved into the private sector after that, and have been following all of you all, in various ways for the last 20, 25 years. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Good to have you. Well, now, we rarely talk about sports on Square Off, except when your Baltimore Ravens are hanging on by a thread. Fans, we were hoping for a Lamar Super Bowl. Only a miracle on 34th Street would get them there. Rick Vatz, you're a Ravens fan. What do you think of this?
I think it's a really bad situation, and I think Mike Preston had the article of record on this the other day. He talked about Jackson being injury prone. He talked about he doesn't follow proper conditioning and diet, and he falls asleep in meetings. He doesn't take criticism well, and the team reacted badly to that. But Mike Preston is always on target.
Team may have reacted badly, Richard, but I think good coaching would have sat Lamar early. And that Thursday night game against the Bengals, he was hurt. They could have sat him. He would have had another week and a half. They clearly, if they have conditioning issues with him or discipline issues with him, they need to straighten that out. We've invested $200 million here,
Oy,
but with or without Lamar, we have been a long time without a Super Bowl.
what do you think, Rick?
Well, I
No,
think, oh, I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
that's right. I'm sorry. R.A. Rick Abruzzi. Go
yeah,
on.
I agree with all of that. More troubling to me is, the Preston article sort of highlighted the fact that, Lamar doesn't take criticism well. He's hard to coach. Maybe he's not involved in the team dynamic as much as he could be. Even when he's hurt, there are things that he can be doing with the team at the training facility to lead this team. And it seems like there's a disconnect between the coaching staff and Lamar and how he's treated compared to the rest of the team and the coaching staff's inability to deal with that effectively.
It is a shame. Tyrone.
Well, Richard, I have not followed pro sports since the 90s. Everything that needed to be seen was seen back then. Go Ravens.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, let me just say this. Well, go ahead, Rick.
I just think that the Ravens' problems go far beyond Lamar. One of the things that really upsets me is that when Henry fumbles, Derrick Henry, he's an excellent runner, one of the best of all time. But when he fumbles, he goes into a funk. I mean, it's almost like he gets depressed. I mean, this is not the way a super athlete treats himself. And when he does this, he loses something for a while. He goes off into a corner and he puts his head down. That's not what a tough runner does. You can't imagine the tough runners of the past doing that. So I think that the problem, a psychological problem now through the team a little bit.
Well, the Ravens trail the Steelers by 2 games with just 2 games remaining. Now, listen to this. If the Steelers beat the Browns on Sunday, or if the Packers beat the Ravens on Saturday night, it's over. One final comment from you, Ruth Ann.
I just think there is fundamental things wrong with the coaching staff not to have taken control a little bit more of the locker room. And we can look at the players, but the coaches have choices of putting players in or sitting them. I think there's a fundamental coaching issue here about all of it. So, but I don't see us in the playoffs this year.
No, definitely not. And on that note, we'll take a quick break. Here's the voice of Square Off, Howard Mallison. Let's get to it. Howard,
Thank you, Richard. I did not realize I was coming on so soon, but I'm ready. I'm ready and willing.
Oh, man. Well, then talk.
With so many cars on the road, especially during the holidays, and distracted drivers everywhere, auto accidents are going to happen. And if you've experienced an accident, the insurance companies can't tell you where to take your car. That's why more and more drivers are trusting their auto repairs and maintenance to leading edge auto body and mechanical repair. They work on all makes and models and offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in the Baltimore area. So give them a call at 410-443-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. And, drive carefully during these holidays. Pappas Restaurant and sports bars are synonymous with the best crab cake you'll ever taste. But there's lots more to the Pappas menu, a whole host of specialty dishes you won't find anywhere else. So for fine dining, special occasions, or just watching sports, Pappas should be your number one destination. That's why Oprah put the Pappas crab cake on her favorite things list. And Pappas ships their crab cakes all over the country with 4 locations: Parkville, Cockeysville, Glen Burnie, and Bel Air. I guarantee you'll become a Pappas regular. If you or your family members experience personal injury, medical malpractice, or nursing home neglect, it's time to call the law firm of Barry Glazer. He has the legal team and resources to go after the big insurance companies to get you every penny he can. And with an in-house medical doctor and nurse, his attorneys work on the toughest and most complex medical malpractice cases. Barry Glazer is your best advocate for the injured, disabled, and medically abused. So give Barry Glazer a call at 410-547-8568. Let him know you heard about him on Square Off. Back to you, Rich.
Very good. Take your car to Leading Edge. They're terrific. Eat your crab cakes at Pappas Crab Cakes. They are the best in town, probably the best in the country. All right. And don't forget, who was your last sponsor there, Howard?
My last sponsor was, who was my last sponsor? My last
Very
sponsor
good.
was Barry Glazer, our friend Barry Glazer.
How could you forget that? All right.
I can.
Now we
So
turn
good.
to more serious business. The family of the late President John F. Kennedy, absolutely furious that the board of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts has appointed by Donald Trump. They voted to rename the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center. JFK's niece, Maria Shriver, saying changing the name is insane. It makes her blood boil. Ruth Ann, I know you're hot on this. What's up?
I cannot, I was 3 years old when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and I've spent my whole life with the history that he brought to this country, degrading the national memorial to John F. Kennedy by just taking over a board, putting the name up. Federal government gives only 12% of its revenues to the Kennedy Center. I cannot imagine how low Trump can go on a daily basis, but I think this is just so reflective of his moral character, and it's disgusting, and it's dishonoring the family and the legacy of this man. And I am really excited to see that the family is going to push back. There's going to be lawsuits. But the taking over the board, the silencing of people, and just degrading what the Kennedy Center is as a performance center, as a national memorial. There are no words to how disgusting these actions are.
All right, Tyrone, I see you're ready to speak.
Well, excuse me. This is a non-issue to me. This is inside the Beltway business. We have between 2023 and 2024, 1 million people have lost their jobs in this country, many of which have been victims of AI. That's a topic that we probably need to devote some time to as well. We also have a situation where we have a housing crisis, we have a healthcare crisis. And I think that those issues are worthy of a lot more attention than the name of the building that a lot of rich people congregate in to entertain themselves.
Precisely. I'm sorry to jump in, but precisely. The President of the United States has all of those things in shambles. He's worrying about his own wallet and pocketbook on AI, not us, on housing, on jobs, on quality of life. And what he concentrates on is putting his name on a building that is a memorial to a dead president.
Okay.
And I would let me retort.
All right.
Because it's also disingenuous to further the notion that one president, I don't care if they're Biden or Bush or Trump, it is very disingenuous, and it gets us further away from actual solutions to pin the situation that America is in today on one person, be they Democrat or Republican. Again, I say 1 million jobs were lost between 2023 and 2024. Now, there was a different president in office for part of that cycle.
Well, they're also building a ballroom that's costing hundreds of millions of dollars. Rick Abbruzzese, then Rick Vatz.
I mean, to Ruth Ann's point, the Trump family empire has made billions of dollars during the first 8 months of this second administration from the Trump administration. The time spent honoring himself is just it is disgusting, and it's unfortunate. And I do think that it's going to be short-lived. However, I mean, this Trump presidency will end at some point, right? And I do think the name will come down, but it is absolutely disgusting that he is spending so much time honoring himself in this way. And I think honestly, it's going to start to work against him. I think the American people are starting to see it, which is why his approval rating is just north of 30%. They see it, and they want folks in the White House and in Congress to start focusing on all the issues that Tyrone has just mentioned. So it actually might backfire on the president.
Professor Vatz.
Let me just say a couple things, because I think this is a really revealing issue. Unlike just about everybody I've ever met, I have this perception of Donald Trump. I think his presidency in style deserves an F. I think in substance deserves an A. This is a unique president. He is off-putting personally because of his ego in virtually everything he does. This taking over of the Opera House is just outrageous. I mean, my daughter has performed there, and she's not a big Trump fan. Maria Shriver says that this just makes my blood boil. This was created because John F. Kennedy represented the arts, represented a person who was serious about opera, music, and Trump is just the opposite. And so I think the more that Trump tries to take over, the more those who hate him are going to hate him. But the better his substance is. And I think, again, substantively, he's an excellent president. And if he hadn't won this election, we'd be in gigantic trouble. So we have an F style and an A substance president.
Rick, every time you lean forward, we lose the top of your head. And we certainly can't let your brain go to waste. Okay? Okay, somebody come in here. Who wants to respond to Rick Vatz or Rick Abbruzzese?
No, I just believe that the complexities of politics and policy, a lot is missed when we boil it down to salaciousness and who's doing what. Meanwhile, people, real American citizens that live outside 495, have to navigate this 21st century economy. So I think that paying a lot of attention to an issue that, like Rick Abbruzzese mentioned, I don't even think that that's going to last for any real length of time. But yet we've allowed it to take a lot of oxygen out of the room and not talk about price transparency in healthcare, for example.
Well, we could debate this for a long time, Tyrone, but I think the entitlement and the grifting of Donald Trump sets a low or no moral compass in this country. The tearing down of the ballroom, the renaming, all of those things. But if we go to actual things he's doing, he's blowing up boats that we don't know who's on the boats. He's doing that without an act of war from Congress. He's we are having people shot in the streets and arrested who are citizens of the United States, born here, who have greater citizenship to some degree than I do, who have legacy of generations of people being born here. I'm a first generation American.
But you're
we
a 100% citizen.
yes,
Citizenry
but we
doesn't
are
work like
taking
that.
people who are not citizens and we are abrogating their rights. So with the underlying fabric of what he is doing policy wise will not just disappear if he leaves the White House.
Well, I support,
but it will take us decades to repair the moral compass, the institutional framework of this country evolving for a new future.
With respect,
it's not evolving for a new future. It's evolving for his puppet.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
With respect, Ruth Ann, with respect, I don't believe that the president of the United States has ever been the moral compass of the country. John F. Kennedy was running women in and out of the White House.
I'm not talking about that
like
kind
it
of
was
morality.
Grand Central Station.
Talking about
Ruth Ann, if I may.
Constitutional morality.
Ruth Ann, if I may. You can go back through Woodrow Wilson was a virulent racist. So I don't believe the president of the United States, and you could love Donald Trump, you could hate him, but on a factual basis, I don't think anybody looks at the president as a moral compass.
Yeah,
when he's milking billions of dollars.
Hold on, Ruth Ann. Go ahead.
I think that the point here is, if I may say, the point I made before, that you cannot defend Donald Trump morally. You cannot affect him style-wise, but on policy after policy after policy, he was a savior to the United States by winning the election in 2024. And I think that he's shown this, and you've got to be able to distinguish between the two.
Rick Abbruzzese.
I mean, I don't understand what issue he saved our country on just yet. I mean, maybe that's to come. But, the cost of everything continues to go up. The American people are feeling it. The tariff situation has been, to set financial and foreign policy this way just, doesn't seem to work. So I'm just not sure. I mean, as Ruth Ann talks about, we do have ICE agents, there are ways to enforce immigration policy without stripping people of their human dignity and human rights. And
how would you deal with the overwhelming immigration problem when you've got millions of people who are let in by the Biden administration? How would you solve that? Rather than just say there are other ways to do it, tell me, how would you do this?
Let's stick to the Kennedy
Center. Do it
Center.
legally.
Stick to the Kennedy Center. Okay. Who has a comment about that? Do you know that President Trump this past week, he is also the chairman of the board that appointed him head of the board.
His board.
And this past week, he hosted the broadcast of the Kennedy Center Honors. So
lowest attendance in years and years.
The Christmas Eve concert was canceled after decades because the performers said no. The takeover of the board is going to be litigated. And let's see how the courts turn out on this, because the actions taken are not. This is not a federal institution. The Kennedy Center, let me just remind you, is not a federal institution. It is a private institution that receives some support from the federal government. So, when he went in and he threw the guy who's the president of the Orioles off the board and he took over, he also, during the vote, silenced people. But this is a performing arts center. It is the arts. It is something that is specific in its purpose and not something that Donald Trump has experience in or has shown to want anything but his name on the wall.
And
let me speak. I do want to say that President Trump has criticized the center's programming and physical appearance and has secured more than $250 million to overhaul both. One final comment, we'll break and then talk about those Epstein files.
If I give a lot of money to a sports team, that doesn't mean that I should be in charge of that sports team. I mean, the fact that he's given a lot of money to the arts, again, I find this just an incredible incongruity. that Donald Trump, a person who's kind of a slob, should be should be known as head of the performing arts. I mean, it's just incredible.
I don't mind the fact that he's taken an interest in the Performing Arts Center. I don't mind the fact that he's putting money and revenue into refurbishing the facility. Putting his name on the building, I think, is just an insult.
All right, we'll take a break. We've got more to talk about. Those Epstein files, they'll never go away. Howard Mallison, please.
Thank you, Richard. Why knock yourself out cooking during the holidays when you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a great meal that starts at the Double T Diner? And all the menu choices are served the entire day. The Double T Diner has locations all over town: Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Bel Air, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. You've never seen a menu with so many selections. It's why the Double T Diner wins so many reader polls. Plus, Monday nights are lobster night at By the Docks, which is part of the Double T family. Let them know you heard about them on Square Off. If you're experienced, excuse me, any kind of foot pain that requires medical attention, I recommend Dr. Kelly Gagan, a well-respected board-certified podiatrist and heel specialist. No one is immune from foot problems. And also, if your concern is the appearance of your feet, Dr. Gagan has a long record of success using laser treatments to correct your issue. Plus, they're safe and painless and go right to the root of the problem. You can believe me because I'm a satisfied patient, and so is Richard.
Yep,
So
take a look at my feet.
Don't suffer from the agony of defeat. Start winning with a call to Dr. Gagan at 410-753-4422 to set up an appointment. Once again, that's 410-753-4422. Back to you, Rich.
Could say that Dr. Gagan is terrific. You get that, Rick?
Yeah.
See, Rick, get that.
Isn't it true that
Yes,
the good doctor returned Howard to championship ballroom dancing?
Absolutely. Howard's gone into ballet, and he'll do that for us next week.
He's appearing at the Kennedy Center.
Well, the State Department has released now a third batch.
I will not appear at the Kennedy Center.
Third batch of records related to President Donald Trump. Several references to him. Donald Trump was friends and has said that they had a falling out, and he no longer cares for or about or has any contact with Epstein. And at least 16 files disappeared from the Justice Department's public webpage between last Friday and Saturday. One of the photographs reportedly shows Donald Trump. Where do you all stand on the Epstein files? No, Rick, you hold on. Go ahead.
Let me just briefly opine. The trove of stuff has been released. Good luck interpreting it. There's a lot of redactions. Chris Tucker, a comedian, he was in a picture. And I've got a picture actually here with you, Richard, on my wall. And so if Richard goes and does something absolutely insane tomorrow, I guess I will be implicated, by association. So look, to the extent that any of these people did anything untoward, it should definitely be looked into. But a lot has been released, and I think that it's going to take a long time to sift through and discover who has any real culpability that needs to be investigated.
In fact, this past Wednesday, the Justice Department reported more than 1 million more documents potentially related to the Epstein case. So it's never ending. Mm-hmm. Tyrone, what kind of picture do you have of us?
Well, Richard, if I ever get into a bad financial situation, you'll find out.
Well, speak up, Rick Abbruzzese. Epstein.
I mean, look, it's no surprise that Donald Trump is in some of these photos, right? I think the American people have lost faith in the Department of Justice and their ability to handle this in an impartial and objective way. And I think that's a bigger issue. I agree with Tyrone. If there are, people who did things that, were malicious toward young women, young girls, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I don't know that we're ever going to get to the bottom of all of this under this Department of Justice and the way these files have been handled so far. I think also, we talk about other issues sort of that the country should be dealing with. And the way Congress kind of came together and pushed for the release of these files, I think it's important to note that they could do the same thing around other issues like housing, like crime, like affordability issues. And they haven't. And I think that's an important part of this conversation too.
Go ahead, Rich.
I just want to know when this will stop. There is literally an unending set of issues that are used irresponsibly against Donald Trump. And when will this list be exhausted? He was impeached twice by the House of Representatives during his presidency, including charges of obstruction of justice, abuse of power, incitement of insurrection. This never stopped. Are we going to have 8 years of his presidency being involved with Democrats trying to raise these? Drop it already. There's nothing that's going to occur that is going to allow him to be impeached and removed. It's not going to happen.
Ruth Ann, do you agree with Rick?
I don't agree with most anything about this. The pain, the suffering, the abuse, and the trauma on these young girls, for them who still are relatively young in their lives, is not something that we should just move on from. And to say that is so deeply troubling.
Who said that?
Now that you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I said,
let me finish.
Rick, stop. Rick, hold it. Go ahead.
Let me just say, anyone involved in this morass that was Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell's sex trafficking and abuse and manipulation of these young women, that shouldn't be over. Pam Bondi is the fox guarding the hen house. We know that Melania and Donald Trump and lots of people are deeply involved here. They are not the people who should be investigating this. They're not the people who should be sending out files. In a lawsuit, there is a theory to just overwhelmingly paper the other side until you can't get through to the facts. And that's what's going on here. This is not about the pictures. This is about what happened to these women, to girls, young girls who were raped. And one of those allegations of rape was against the sitting president. But whether it's Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or anyone else, in the pictures or not in the pictures, involved in this, we should not just say, oh, this is another persecution of Trump. This is not. This is generations of children who now have to live with that trauma, no different than the Catholic Church issue or anything else. And we should pursue it. And what Bondi did in the first prosecution of Epstein and her involvement of letting him off the hook and then appointing the guy who prosecuted it to a cabinet position, it stinks to high heaven, but this is abuse of women and reportedly abuse of young men. But don't sit here and say this massive abuse of young women, we should just move on from.
Wrap it up.
Let me just say, that is one of the most illogical inferences to what I said that I've ever heard, even from Ruth Ann Norton, who specializes in that. The fact that you can say that there are pictures of Donald Trump and pictures of Bill Clinton having been with Epstein doesn't mean anything. It certainly doesn't mean that I approve of what Epstein did. You think we all should have said Lyndon Johnson is involved in JFK's assassination, because there are a lot of rumors there. We've got to get him on that, and we can't approve of assassination. Everybody knows we're against assassination. I mean, that is just preposterous logic from a lawyer, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I'm not.
Oh, Rick, hold on.
Excuse me, but I'm not a lawyer. but I
thank
am a
God.
woman who has experienced some pretty bad things. And Richard, if that's not what you said, I thought that's what I heard. It doesn't matter. We cannot just say we're going to throw pictures and millions of files. We do need to get to the bottom of this. And what I'm saying is Trump and Bondi are not the people to do it. It's like the fox guarding the hen house. We do need to get to the bottom of
Well,
it.
to your point,
And-
Ruth Ann, to your point,
And I don't
it
think we need to
probably is
personally attack.
appropriate.
Hold on,
To
Ruth, go
your
ahead.
point, Ruth Ann, it probably is appropriate to put together some independent commission, some special prosecutor to look into this because again, there's so much information that has been released,
100%.
and it's just out in the public. And I think that I would agree with you that probably time for a special prosecutor, an independent prosecutor to be convened to take a look.
And on that note, we have to say goodbye. It was very good to see you. Rick Abbruzzese, welcome to the Square Off team. We're delighted to have you. Rick Vatz, I'm sorry you wouldn't talk today. Tyrone, thank you very much. Ruth Ann, it's always a pleasure. And I don't know what else to say, except that we are in our 42nd year of this program. Square Off has been around Baltimore for 42 years. That's amazing.
How about Happy
I'm
New Year?
amazed.
How about
What?
Happy New Year?
Happy New Year. What?
Well, it's going to be New Year's pretty soon.
That's right. Next week's show will be the first of 2026. And we want to thank the thousands of you who've been joining us over these months. And we really appreciate it. Rick, thanks. Tyrone, thanks. Rick A, thanks. And Ruth Ann, of course. And we will see you all after the Ravens get in the playoffs. Anyway, we'll see you next time when once again we square off. Say goodbye, everybody. Bye.